reservations, phone 1-800-441-4410.
At beautiful Mount Airy Lodge, all you have to bring is your love of everything.
That is a spectacular vintage advertisement, which we're showing because our producer, Paul Wilkie, had the good sense to point out that that's where the president's going today. Some are questioning insiders who aren't concerned necessarily with the real lives of real people, but the stagecraft of statecraft, why the president's doing his big economic kickoff event, A, at a casino, and B, at 6 o'clock at night, ruining Brett Baer's show and mine, but amongst other things, not your classic time to get in the news cycle. So joining us again today, Mark Bednar, Republican, Naomi Kuntz, Democrat. Thank you for coming back. Mark, if the White House called you and said, Mark, we're thinking of launching our economic tour at 6 p.m. at a casino, what would you say?
The time of the day, like President Trump, he's going to drive the news cycle if it's at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m.
That's old think on my part. 6 p.m., whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, but you wouldn't. But if he did it at 10:30 at night, you'd say it's not any good, right? Or doesn't matter at all.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay. And what about at a casino?
Like that's he's a casino guy. He's run casinos before. If he's comfortable there,
he's a great casino guy.
Yeah. Nomi, does this make sense to you? I take Mark's point that he's a casino guy and the news cycle's whatever, but I don't know. It's just not going to get as much coverage, even in the modern age, right?
I feel like the White House is the writer's room at SNL where they're just coming up with new ideas every day to just shock everybody. I don't know if you've been there, but there's a great Guy Fieri's there. So I hope he does it from the Guy Fieri's at the Mount Airy Lodge, because let's just add a little bit more zest to this. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's Pennsylvania. It's his base. That casino is definitely full of people who probably voted for him.
Yeah. Well, that county flipped from Biden to Trump, Biden 20, Trump 24. And obviously, Pennsylvania is the ultimate battleground state. So we'll talk about the president's event and the economy in just a moment. He did a big interview with Politico, Dasha Burns, 45 minutes, and then Caroline Leavitt was on Fox and Friends. So 1-2 punch, teeing up the event. And the president said a lot more in that Politico interview than just about that. So we'll have some of that for you. We'll talk about Russia, Ukraine, etc. If you're first time here, perhaps you don't know, this program's based on the Network News Division's morning meetings, where they sit around and talk through the news of the day, and they go back and forth a little bit about what everybody thinks to try to tee things up, set expectations. And for the networks, it's to plan news coverage. For you all, it's just to inform you, educate you, give you a sense of what people are thinking. And then, of course, the little O. Henry twist at the end of the program, you get to be part of the conversation. So if you're here on the platform and would like to be part of it, raise your hand. If you've never raised your hand before, summon the courage, the gumption, the sheer fortitude to raise your hand and say, call on me. I want to talk to Mark and Nomi. What an opportunity. If you're watching on X or on YouTube, don't raise your hand. And also, little thing, don't put smack in the chat. Yesterday, I spent 5 hours reading just the smack. We have an algorithm that just sucks the smack out of the chat. And I just read it. And just extraordinary how if you don't have to be on camera and you don't have to use your own voice and likeness, you people will write anything. It's quite something. Don't put smack in the chat. Put your smack elsewhere. Peace, love, and understanding is the way we roll here. The Daybook in a moment after a brief word from one of our sponsors, and it's our friends at Cozy Earth. Our Cozy Earth sponsors are offering you, I don't get this. And in fact, when they called me, I urged them. I said, it's too much. It's too much. 40% off is too much. But they said, no, the people of Morning Meeting, the people of Two-Way deserve 40% off the bubble cuddle blanket, the sheets, the towels, the pants, the T-shirts. All available to you now at 40% off. Go to CozyEarth.com. Use the promo code 2WMM for an extraordinary 40% off. No, 40% is practically 50% by my calculations. I don't even need the Two-Way abacus to tell you that. You can get it all right now. The code will work for you, 2WMM, 40% off everything on the Cozy Earth website. I recommend it all, but as you know, I have a special affinity for the pants. It's all available to you right now. Give it as gifts. Buy it for yourself, maybe both. If you haven't bought yourself something on Cozy Earth yet, give it a try right now. CozyEarth.com, promo code 2WMM. Give the gift of comfort that lasts beyond the holidays and carries you into a cozy new year. CozyEarth.com, promo code 2WMM. The president today has two things on his schedule. It's kind of interesting. The first is he's going to a holiday party at the vice president's. Either of you ever been to the Naval Observatory for a vice presidential holiday party?
Not yet.
I haven't, actually.
I have. I've been there for a Gore party, and I've been there for a Biden party when he was vice president. And the Biden one featured water guns and Yeah, water guns. I can't say any more about it because it was off the record, but there were water guns. Anyway, and then he goes, it doesn't say how he's traveling, but our suspicion is chopper from the White House to the Poconos, to the Mount Airy Casino Resort for 6:10 p.m. Eastern Time. If he's on a speech on the economy, it's like a rally on the economy. If he's on time, he'll blow out a lot of two-way tonight because I suspect we'll just sit around and watch it mystery science political theater style and just mystery political science theater style and just watch it. The vice president's hosting that party. Don't know what else he's doing. Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, as well as the CIA director, are all on Capitol Hill to brief the Gang of Eight. These are the leadership and the top intelligence officials about this ongoing mission in the Caribbean and and probably talk about that unreleased video, which we will talk about in a moment. The senators are having their weekly lunches today at 12:45, and then afterwards talk to cameras. Gene Simmons, I guess he's hung around Washington. Mark, you run into him at all since Sunday? Because he's still in town. He's testifying on the American Music Fairness Act before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Jamison Greer, the USTR representative, is talking about the economy, also on the Senate side, and they're doing some nomination stuff. There's mayoral elections in some places today. Albuquerque, Miami. Miami's gotten a lot of attention. It's a runoff between former Democratic County Commissioner Eileen Higgins, who's received surrogate support from a lot of prominent Democrats, and former Republican city manager Emilio Gonzalez. Polls close at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Indiana Senate continues to deal with redistricting and tries to figure out how to navigate there. Big argument in the Supreme Court at 10 o'clock this morning. A case that if the justices rule for openness and freedom of money, it will allow much more coordination between outside money and campaigns and party groups.
How is that even possible at this point? I read
there's
this
room for
report.
more. I know there's room for more. I have the same reaction. But
take the crypto and just put it in the account.
Just like put a blame right in the vein.
There's
The
a suitcase
president,
of money. Take it.
the president's supporters believe that if they'll get a favorable decision, and it will be very good for the Republican Party. The Fed's meeting starts today. They meet tomorrow again, and they're going to cut interest rates by some amount. And finally, Josh Shapiro, who's on a self-consciously obvious tour to remind people that Gavin Newsom's not the only candidate who might run for president, was on MSNBC last night. I got $40,000 in the swear jar. MS Now last night, where he talked about all manners of things. He's in Washington today doing an event with the Utah Governor Spencer Cox, moderated by Savannah Guthrie at the National Cathedral on political violence. So stay tuned for that. We'll have full coverage of that on this program tomorrow. All right, the president teeing up his economic speech tonight at a casino at 6:10 p.m. Eastern Time, if it starts on time. Did this long interview with Politico. And what everybody's looking for is, can the president stay on message on the economy? Can he talk in a focused way? The speech is advertised as being on the economy. Many times Donald Trump has been told you have to do X, you have to be disciplined, and he's not. So here's a little test run. Dasha Burns asked him, what's your letter grade on the economy? And of course, that naturally leads to a discussion of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Here we go. 104, please.
I wonder, sir, what grade would you give your economy right now?
Before I answer that, let me just tell you something. I've watched stupid people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, or some people call her Taylor Greene, some people call her Taylor Brown, because green sometimes turns to brown, which isn't nice. But I've watched her say that he spends too much time
0 seconds on the economy.
Foreign. Well, by doing that, and first of all, it doesn't take a lot of time. I made one trip. I brought back trillions of dollars on that one trip.
Enough of that one.
I stopped
He goes
in
on
Japan,
and on.
I stopped in South Korea.
He vaguely says overseas work is, he's thinking about the United States when he's overseas. Here's a little bit more of an on-message version. This is Caroline Levitt on Fox and Friends this morning. 106, please.
Well, we greatly look forward to going to Northeast Pennsylvania tonight, and President Trump is going to give a positive, economic-focused speech where he talks about all that he and his team has done to provide bigger paychecks and lower prices for the American people. And don't forget, a year ago, President Trump inherited the worst inflation crisis in modern American history from the Biden administration, and I have watched every single day as President President Trump and his tremendous economic team have been working to fix it. And they have through a very simple economic formula, which President Trump will talk about tonight. Number one, tax cuts. Within 6 months, President Trump signed the largest middle-class tax cut in American history. No tax on tips, overtime, Social Security. And you'll hear stories of everyday Americans tonight who will benefit directly from those tax rebates next year. You look at the massive deregulatory effort from President Trump and his team, which is saving American households and small businesses money. And then, of course, unleashing American energy dominance, which is having a direct impact on the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And we have seen oil prices down 20%. In 22 states, the average price of gas is less than $2.75 a gallon. Gas prices are at their lowest point in 5 years. This is all thanks to President Trump's economic agenda. There's a lot more work to do, and he'll talk more about that tonight. But this is going to be President Trump's bread and butter issue, focused on the economy. Nobody knows it better than him.
So, Mark, the message, we've done a lot. We've got a lot more to do together, obviously. I'm shorter Caroline Levitt. So in the olden days, the metric of success for a White House would be he'd give the speech at 2 o'clock, and then at 6:30, the communications director at the White House would turn on Tom, Dan, and Peter and see what they had to say about it. If you were running the White House comm shop here, what would your metric of success be, regardless of whether the president talks about Marjorie Taylor Greene or not tonight? What are they trying to achieve with this speech? Where would you look to see if it's successful? On ads on Netflix? Like, where would it be?
I would look to the actual specific area where they're sitting in Pennsylvania. This is a spot, purple seat, where Rob Bresnahan, he recently won it. He flipped a seat. He's on the list of the Democrats' list to flip. So the fact that like they're right there in a politically potent area, the reaction on the ground is going to tell you everything you need to know.
So,
and
like what happens on Channel 5 in Pennsylvania?
Yes, I think that to me is going to be a really big metric. It's like not only is it politically valuable for the next couple of years, but also it's a perfect microcosm of what works, what doesn't. If the president's going to go by gut, with applause lines or just personal reactions, like what better petri dish than a purple district in a purple state?
Yeah. All right, Naomi, if this were Ronald Reagan or Bill Clinton, the opposition party would be like, we're going to have to watch this thing. This could be a powerful speech. He could regain control of the economy. And talking to Democrats about this speech since it was announced last week, they're all just laughing. Now, maybe they're underestimating Donald Trump, but do you feel that he could come out here and grab this issue in a way that would put your party on the defensive, or you don't think that's likely or possible?
There's the Donald Trump issue, and then there's our party, our message. We miss a lot of great opportunities to go on offense against Donald Trump in a unified way. No, I think the issue that he's going to be facing is obviously affordability. I mean, it's what everybody's talking about, and the bailout for farmers over soybeans in particular. I mean, that's the effect of his tariff policies. He promised to take down the debt, and all he's collected is $250 billion. We have, $33 trillion in debt? It's got a lot of work to do there. So I don't know how he's going to spin it. It seems like in the interview with Dasha, he just goes back to Marjorie Taylor Greene or some sort of red herring. It's almost impossible at this point for him to stay on message or to stay awake. Did you see him in the meeting yesterday?
Yeah, seemed to nod off again.
In a meeting.
When he eventually gave himself a letter grade, do you guys know what letter grade he gave himself?
A++++++.
Yeah, one more plus than I would have expected.
Yeah.
All right, we'll watch the speech again.
Highest IQ ever.
Again, yeah. What do you say, Mark?
One interesting part. So Caroline, in her list of achievements, so she rattled off the no tax on tips. Like we're hearing from Republicans, kind of their pivot point right now is like, there's so much in one big beautiful bill, we don't know where to start. So the fact that they're at a casino, and there's kind of evidence here about how they won Nevada because of this play towards casino workers who are largely tipped workers.
Fair.
So if there's a way you actually can get an inch wide, mile deep on a specific provision, that's a big deal.
Yeah,
That's new.
Which is the reason they're actually in the casino, by the way, so they can talk about helping workers with provisions.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Is it a unionized casino? Because that's also, Nevada is obviously unionized workers.
I think it is. If it's in Pennsylvania, it probably is. Well, look, good question. All right, Russia, Ukraine. I'm just staggered by how little coverage there is of this today. Was not on cable this morning. It's barely in the newspapers. Even though President Zelensky yesterday said no, we're not giving up land, which is obviously critical. The Russians aren't going to do a deal that doesn't involve giving up land. The president, in his interview with Dasha Burns of Politico, very tough on Zelensky and also very tough on Europe. And I can tell you, in private, administration officials are scathing about the Europeans, both in general and about the role they're playing at this point in the peace process. So here's the president first on Zelensky and how he shouldn't rule out giving up land. Well, first, here's the headline. Sorry, 108. This is the New York Times headline about what Zelensky said. He did an online chat with reporters as he was leaving London, where he's meeting with the major European leaders. Zelensky rules out ceding land to Russia, refusing to bow to Putin or Trump. And here's what the president said to Dasha Burns, first about Ukraine, then about Europe. You can roll 109 and 110 back to back, please.
Want to stop seeing people killed.
If this deal, if Zelensky rejects this deal, like, is there a timeline? Is there a point at which you say, okay?
Well, he's going to have to get on the ball and start accepting things. When you're losing, because you're losing.
Do you think Ukraine has lost this war?
Well, they've lost territory long before I got here. They lost a whole strip of seafront, big seafront. You look at the maps. I've been here for 10 months, but you go back 10 months and take a look. They lost that whole strip. It's now a bigger strip. It's a wider strip, but they lost a lot of land, and it's very good land, too, that they lost. You certainly wouldn't say they're not doing a good job, Europe. It's not doing a good job in many ways. They're not doing a good job.
I want to ask
you
about
They talk too much, and they're not producing. We're talking about Ukraine. They talk, but they don't produce. And the war just keeps going on and on. 4 years now it's been going on, long before I got here. This is not my war. This is Joe Biden's war. And in terms of America, it's a very sad thing. And the only reason I really care about it is because I hate to see young, beautiful people being killed. I'm with them, but yeah.
No, I've been pretty bullish on a deal, more than most people, but I don't see now how there could possibly be a deal because Putin's not going to give any more, and Zelensky says no land. So what happens now?
We continue to cut ties with Europe. It didn't help that they released that memo, that national security memo that basically insulted all the European leaders and our relationship with Europe. That's actually the undertone here that I'm mostly concerned about. Obviously, the war between Ukraine and Russia is super concerning, but also our international alliances. This is, when you zoom outward, think about how that affects the economy, how that affects our trade deals, how that affects our lives here in the United States. And that's, I think, the answer that Donald Trump's going to have to answer at the end of the day is, when you start to create these fissures, what does that mean for people at home and the world order? That's my personal concern.
But doesn't the president have a right to be frankly pissed off about how Europe continues to buy billions and billions of dollars of energy from Russia?
Yeah.
It fuels the Russian war machine, and simultaneously, they're hemorrhaging their own economic progress here. So isn't it fair
what
for
he's pissed off about, though?
For him to be upset about that?
But Mark, what happens what happens next if Zelensky says, sorry, I'm not accepting this deal? What happens next?
One thing, I don't know, I think he continues to go back to the drawing board. He's been persistent throughout this whole time. Yes, he's taken the foot off the gas and on the gas at different times.
You talking about Trump or Zelensky?
Zelensky.
The president.
Trump.
Oh.
So if Zelensky says sorry, I just can't accept that, and Putin says sorry, there has to be territorial concessions. What does Donald Trump do? Does he give a speech announcing, good luck? What happens? Because I don't think he's going to keep the peace process going if they hit that wall. So what does he do?
It's a conundrum. I have no idea. Yeah. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
But
all right.
I see the president being persistent here. All right. Regardless
let's talk about a conundrum here at home with equal ambiguity about what's going to happen. Another news cycle since we last talked of, the House Republicans and the Senate Republicans having 72 healthcare ideas. Some people say do nothing. Some people say let's do something. No consensus about what to do. So it's December 9th. Will there be a vote? There's going to be a vote in 2 days in the Senate on the Democrat bill. It'll fail. Will there be a vote on Thursday in the Senate on some package? Yes or no? Nomi?
I think there will be, and
Republican
it'll
package?
fail. I think it'll be the moderate plan, and it'll fail, and then that's out, and then
Yeah. Mark, will there be a House vote on
I
health
see
care?
I see a Senate vote before a House vote.
yeah.
Yeah, but what do you think the Senate's going to vote on? They'll vote on the Democratic bill to extend the subsidies. What will the Senate Republican vote be on? Because right now they don't want to vote on anything because they're too divided and they don't want to show division. The Collins plan?
I think
Really?
that's the one that I don't know. I think that's
Yeah.
probably the closest thing to the Democratic plan that'll appease Republican voters right now, but
Yeah.
it's going to fail.
Look, like where they want to get around to is they don't want to see, they don't want to deal with their own fingerprints on the Democrats' bill, but they also
Yeah.
they want something that actually goes after the rise of premiums, not just
Right.
papering over. Like that's what the Democrat bill actually does.
Right.
But like probably the Cassidy likely, but
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, there's like 7 that they could vote on, but I don't think they're going to vote on anything. All right. The Pentagon video, the president yesterday went from saying, sure, release it, all good with me, to saying whatever Hegseth wants. It's a weird thing for this president to say, but Donald Trump says things with purpose typically. Mark, why is he basically saying it's up to Hegseth? What's the political value of that for him?
well, ultimately, like I do think it does come out. If this is an opportunity where if Pete can show kind of an olive branch to the Senate, like I've talked to Senate Republican leaders who they just want more engagement from DOD. If this is an opportunity for, Hegseth to own this and to say like, here we go, Senate, I'm going to work with you on this.
But why wouldn't the president say, of course we're going to release it as soon as we run all the traps? Why wouldn't he just own it if it's coming out so he can be on the side of transparency? He says he told Dasha Burns he's seen the video. So why wouldn't he, Naomi, why wouldn't he just own it and say, yeah, we're going to release it?
Well, number one, I think it gives the president cover if Hegseth messes up again, but it also gives him a backing, Hegseth, who has completely, lost faith and trust. We've lost faith and trust with him. I mean, that's my way. My it's a cover no matter what.
I find
So
it
if he fails,
confusing.
But if he didn't want it out, he would say as
Yeah,
much.
right. But that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. If he's clearly signaling it's okay with him if it comes out, but I don't understand why he's putting it on Hegseth because I don't know why he would want any distance between the two of them. I don't know. It's confusing.
maybe there's
to me.
something I mean, there's definitely something legal going on for sure, but maybe there's something legal that he's concerned about.
Yeah.
Meaning
All right.
Trump.
Let's talk about AI. There's still this question of whether there's going to be an executive order or some legislation limiting what states can do to regulate AI. Yesterday, the president allowed NVIDIA to sell some sort of chips to China, with the U.S. taking 25% of the profits. And, there continues to be debate about AI's role in the economy. Here's my question. I didn't warn you guys about it, so good luck to you. For your own party, if you could make one person the spokesperson to explain the economics of AI to America, who's the person, whether they're in the executive branch, legislative branch, who's the person who you think is the best explainer in chief of here's what AI is, here's how America's going to lead on it? Mark.
I would say Senator McCormick. He's not an AI guy, but he is super smart, gets the economy, comes from a energy state where, that's going to be the requirement for data centers. He's seen industries in Pennsylvania, coal, what that rebalancing of an economy, what that does to an economy. I think just he is the total package who I would be super supportive of.
David McCormick. Naomi, who would be the Democrat you'd pick to be your lead talker on AI?
Congressman Ro Khanna.
Yeah.
He's
that's a
obviously
good pick.
Silicon Valley. He's a populist. He's a great communicator, and I think at the end of the day, he's a future leader for the country as well. I think he's one of our top leaders.
And like Dave McCormick, he's wicked smart, and like Dave McCormick, born in Pennsylvania.
Exactly.
All right.
Good.
They should
All
be
right.
together.
Yeah. All right. The New York Times has 2 stories today about the Democratic Governors Association meeting that was held over the weekend in Arizona, where not all the governors went, but Gavin Newsom got a lot of attention. Unusual for him to go, I believe, to a DJ meeting. I may be wrong about that, but I think he skipped some at least. Wes Moore got a lot of attention. Gretchen Whitmer, but a lot of conversation. Quiz, hit your buzzer when you know the answer. Who was the last Democrat governor nominated to be your presidential candidate for the Democrats? Who's the last governor nominated?
Clinton, right?
Clinton. So it's been 33 years since the Democrats have nominated a governor, even though the conventional wisdom throughout, a long period of time is governors do better for both parties. So All the Democrat governors are singing from the same hymnal. It should be a governor. It will be a governor. Now, again, it would break precedents of a third of a century. Nomi, why has your party not nominated governors? Is it just a fluke? But why has your party not followed the conventional wisdom for 33 years that nominating a governor is a smart thing to do?
Well, think about it. The last several elections, with exception to President Obama, it was about who's next in line. I mean, even in the primary between Hillary Clinton and President Obama, it was Hillary's next in line. So, we have a little bit of an issue in our party with trying to,
But even the runner-ups in 16 and 20, the runner-up was a senator, Bernie Sanders.
Right.
So even then, like, why have we gone? Who's been the strongest gubernatorial person in the last 33 years?
I mean, we've had gubernatorial candidates we've had Tim Kaine, we've had Tim Walz. I mean, they've been on the ticket. But in terms of an actual Democratic primary, we've had a lot of issues with that in our.
But why is that? Why have no Democratic governors been front and center?
Well, even scaling back to like a smaller office, like Andrew Cuomo got walloped in a mayoral race in New York. So like his managerial expertise at a state level didn't, even go back the other way either.
Well, I think there was a lot more to that. there was a 10-year fight.
But it's success of it not working out. I think there's an ideological.
If you were wagering, again, raise your hand if you want in the conversation. We got a couple more topics. If you were wagering on the identity of the Democratic nominee for 2028, would you bet on governor or not governor?
Oh, absolutely, governor. I think this is
absolutely
the issue is that we haven't had competitive primaries. So now we're going to have a competitive primary and also, the leadership in these states has been fairly strong. You've got Pritzker, Whitmer, Shapiro, Newsom. Who else do we have? Wes Moore. I mean, those are 5 extraordinarily strong candidates.
Michael Bennet, my candidate.
Michael Bennet? I don't know.
Mark?
I think that's just as likely that you have a Congresswoman AOC who's the nominee rather than a governor. Just like who brings the fight. And right now it just seems like everyone going through we'll talk about this for the next year and a half before the primaries actually start. But I think AOC is just as likely as any of these governors.
I have some theories about why governors have not done well and why despite the ebullience of the DGA meeting, a governor's not a sure thing. But I'm working on them still, so I'm not prepared to say what they are. But I think part of it is the nationalization of the process. And governors are they're just even the most sophisticated ones. They're not part of the relationships, the culture, the media rhythms of national politics. And that's a lot of what winning a presidential nomination is about. We'll see. All right, here's someone who's thinking of running for president, Rahm Emanuel.
Goodness.
Put that headline up. Rahm Emanuel is a product of the Clinton 92, Clinton 96 ethos of you want to get small issues or semi-small issues, what they call small ball or small bore, to connect with the public. So here's the headline from Political. Rahm Emanuel says U.S. should follow Australia's path on a youth social media ban. I was watching the BBC this morning because I have the quad split on YouTube TV, and the fourth news channel is BBC. And their story was Australia has banned social media for kids 16 and under. Can't be on Instagram if you're a 15-year-old girl who wants to, read about, watch Taylor Swift videos. So this is an issue that, parents might like. This country's been a total failure in regulating social media to protect our kids. And Rahm is floating this idea. Nomi, if Rahm called you and said, what are the downsides of being for this? Do you see any downsides to being for a ban on social media for 15 and under?
I mean, the TikTok lobby going after you nonstop.
Yeah, that'd be
I
one.
think that's pretty much it. It's just lobbying.
But is that net? Is that make it maybe this is a bad idea to be for, or net it's a good idea because parents would love it and parents vote more than 15-year-olds on TikTok?
Some parents would love it, and I think a lot of parents don't want to parent, and they have no problem giving their kids phones to distract themselves. New York, we banned them in schools recently, and it's been tremendously popular.
But I'm asking, is this a good idea if you want to run for president? Is this a good thing to be for?
No, it's a good idea if Rahm Emanuel talks about the economy and working class issues, but that's not something he's going to talk about because he's
Mark, if Ted Cruz say wants to run against JD Vance, is this a good issue for a Republican to adopt this as well?
Well, at least I'll take it back for Rahm. I think for Rahm, it's a good risk. He's been kind of, he doesn't have the same stage, the same national, he's not in the zeitgeist in the same way. So he needs to take a risk and like kind of pick your spots. But from a Republican standpoint, I think that it would like if I'm JD Vance or Cruz or whoever, I totally think that it's a good move because empowering parents in it, like how we're moving forward with the toxicity of social media, I think like it is a worthwhile risk. And also you stake that ground. Now no one else can take that ground from you, and they have to argue on the other side.
Do either of you work for any social media platforms?
No.
No.
No. Okay.
No.
So if you were an advisor to TikTok or to Instagram, and this was gaining steam, like JD Vance endorsed it and a Democratic nominee endorsed it, how would you counter it? What would your legislative rhetorical strategy be to stop that from becoming law?
I think it's free speech. I mean, if I were advising them, and I would never, by the way, advise them on any of this, it's an issue of free speech. I mean, especially with JD Vance and his base, I would say, JD Vance, you rely on young boys being radicalized on the internet. This is obviously a closed conversation, and free speech is a big part of that. And if you want to get your message out to the next generation, whether it's the Tim Pools and all those, their base is young men, and that's what the Republican Party is relying on right now. If it were Democrats, I would say, your base is young women, and they're on TikTok right now radicalizing. So that's the gender divide on these platforms.
What TikTok did after it was basically they were forced to sell, like their ad campaign was genius, showing small businesses like I only exist because of TikTok. Like there's probably, this school group, this school club, this sports team, we only organized because kids were able to talk together on social media. There's a social cohesion argument that you can make in a 10-figure ad buy. Or 7-figure ad buy to kind of like show the softer side of social media. But
so there's a public conversation, a private conversation.
Yeah, yeah. All right. One more topic then to your questions. Please raise your hand if you want to get in. Two things everybody waits for. Everybody in America is just always sitting around waiting for. One is when will the New York Jets have a good team? And two is when is Jamie Dimon going to run for president? And there's always around this time there's always a little bit of a drumbeat. And the Gang of 500, the establishment, the people having breakfast at the Regency right now, they just want Jamie Dimon. That's all they want. So Jamie Dimon announced something. It was actually announced a little while ago, I think in October, but he fleshed it out today. He hired someone away from Warren Buffett to run a $1.5 trillion American Resiliency Pledge Fund called a supergroup. And he announced the people advising this supergroup. And this is informed by Jamie Dimon's substantive belief that we learned from COVID that America must have, in defense and technology and infrastructure, we must have a backstop against our supply chain being disrupted, either by something like a pandemic or a threat from overseas. So the group includes Jeff Bezos, Michael Dell, Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, a bunch of other business leaders. And then from politics, Condoleezza Rice. She's not really from politics. I always bristle when people confuse politics with government. This is from the Wall Street Journal. But Condoleezza Rice and Bob Gates, two of the most respected public servants in national security, really in our lifetimes. And then Paul Ryan, former Speaker of the House of Representatives. So this is a very august group. And while its announced purpose is to advise this fund to protect America, the people in my life who think Jamie Dimon is going to run for president look at this as like a campaign committee in formation. So I'm not going to ask you if he's going to run. And if he did run, would he run as a Democrat or Republican independent? No one really knows. Nomi, how would you appraise Jamie Dimon's chances if he said, I'm going to run for president and leverage all of this kind of stuff? How would you appraise his chances of becoming president?
I would give him a 0.1% chance.
0.1, a billionaire New York banker of ethnic heritage, you think would be? Do you think,
I love that he's
is that why you say so low chances? Because he's a billionaire banker from New York?
Yeah, I mean, when does that work out? It's like, how did that work out for Bloomberg? And Bloomberg had been mayor,
Right.
and he bought his position. If we're talking about affordability, Jamie Dimon is not necessarily the person who, I mean, somebody like Pritzker, who is wealthy but is kind of carrying like an FDR, I care about the working people thing, that could potentially work. But somebody like Jamie Dimon, who deals with Wall Street all day long and probably hasn't, been to the Poconos recently, to that casino.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to stick.
Okay. Mark?
But I think, if Jamie Dimon I don't think he's going to be president or even run for president, but if he can show that he's affable in one way, shape, or form, I don't think I've ever seen him pull up and have, a beer with a voter. Can he
When
can he pass that smell test?
You say not with the voter, but when he opened the lead anecdote in the Wall Street Journal profile of the new Chase headquarters in Manhattan opened with Jamie in the new building's pub having a Guinness at like 10 in the morning. So,
job.
I'm surprised you both rate him so low. If it weren't for Donald Trump and the precedent there, it's hard to imagine. But you guys ever talk to him? You ever talk to Jamie Dimon?
I've been in the room.
passing.
Yeah. Okay. I'm surprised you rate him. I'm surprised you rate him so low because I don't know how he'd do it, but I think he could. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think he could.
I don't think people don't know who he is either. I mean, most people we do in the little Beltway bubble.
More people know he is than Governor Bashir, who people tell me he's going to be president.
I don't know. Bashir's very popular in Kentucky. Like, I don't know. Maybe not.
All right. Do you guys bank with Chase?
I do, actually.
You do. They're pretty
It's
good.
just easy. I also do amalgamated, but it's just so easy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Quick word from a sponsor, then to your questions. Raise your hand if you want in on the conversation. And I'm going to start working on a Jamie Dimon 2028 logo just in my spare time in my sketch pad. Right now, if you want some comfortable clothes that fit well, shirts, denim jeans, flannels, here's an opportunity to get a big savings. Go to the folks at ponchooutdoors.com/2WMM, ponchooutdoors.com/2WM. You don't need a promo code because that takes you right to screen where you can buy what you want, 10% off $10 off your first order, and free shipping for things like their Western Polo. Comfortable, durable, and versatile. Hogan Gidley wears their clothes, so do I. Therefore, so should you. Right now, go buy some stuff for yourself as presents. Take it out of the box. You'll see it's comfortable from the get-go. They just come like they're pre-worn, but not in like a secondhand thrift shop kind of way pre-worn. Just nice and soft, stretchy, unbelievable soft, durable. Available to you now. Free exchanges. Make sure you get the right size. Free shipping. Free returns. Poncho stands by every shirt they make. Again, go to ponchooutdoors.com/2WMM. $10 off, free shipping. Tell them that Hogan Gidley sent you, even though he didn't in this instance. Robert of Pennsylvania, welcome in. Robert lives in Pennsylvania, ladies and gentlemen. He is what we call a two-way stalwart. And whenever we do a Pennsylvania show, we have to go to Robert because he knows the Poconos like the back of a cheesesteak.
The Lehigh Valley more so, Mark.
Yeah. All right.
Lehigh
Nonetheless,
Valley
welcome in, sir. Thank you for being part of Two-Way.
Thanks.
Tell everybody what's in your mind for Nomi and for Mark, and thank you.
So we're excited. We're excited the president's coming here. We're working very hard for Ryan McKenzie and Rob Shanahan here to defend the House and defend the agenda. Of course, our area has been just ravaged by establishment government, economic policies since the 80s. I mean, they've sold out our industry from underneath us. I drive by the shadow of Bethlehem Steel all the time, very envious of the bonuses that everybody got on the other side of the state, Pittsburgh and such. I mean, they're Pennsylvanians, so we love them too, but it is the other side of the state. So, we're here, again, trying to push America first, Pennsylvania first, but we're the keystone state for a reason, and I think we're the leverage point, the battleground state, poster child for the entire United States here. So
Yes,
we're very excited the president's coming.
All right. Any question or comment? Or you just wanted to share that?
No, just wanted to share that tonight. Okay. We're going to fight tooth and nail for McKenzie and Shanahan here, and we're getting attacked by Fetterman and Mondami's people and so on and so forth. They're here, but it's going to be street fighting for every single vote. I can promise you that.
All right, Robert, thank you. Grateful to you. Here's Governor Shapiro, who was on MS Now last night, talking about his potential aspirations to run for president. Of course, he'll play a key role in bracketing the president today on visits to the state. Here's Governor Shapiro.
My question is about in the conversation with Tim Alberta. Why did you feel the need to correct the record that the vice president put out there, or give your weigh in on it? Is it because you're running for president? or you're exploring thinking about a presidential run?
No, Simone, I was asked for my reaction to a statement that he said the vice president said that simply wasn't true, and I was pointing that out. And that, that was, I think it's also important to note, that was before the book actually came out, and it was represented to me through that author. Look, here's the thing. I've got respect for the former vice president, and I think we do everyone a disservice when we focus on looking backwards instead of looking forwards in terms of what we're dealing with every day with the Trump administration making people's lives more difficult. I'm choosing to fight the battles today against the Trump administration and look forward in ways that hopefully can lift people up, make people's lives better. I think that's what we need to be focused on. Happy to answer your questions, but I think that's our focus. It's got to be looking forward.
All right, I'm going to want to play 107, which is Governor Shapiro talking about the president's visit. But you'll notice he dropped every G. He's like he's from South Carolina. He doesn't say a single G. Everything's looking, talking, doing. Make of that what you will. 107, please.
I mean, if he comes to Pennsylvania and spews more BS like he did today at the White House, I think what you're ultimately going to find are people tuning him out because folks can't unsee what they see when they go to the grocery store, which is that beef and OJ and bread and the normal staples that they need in their homes, those prices have dramatically increased on Donald Trump's watch. And so what you have is a president who seems to want to blame everybody else, whose economic policies are failing. As a result of his tariffs, things cost more whether you're at the grocery store or you are farmers. He's putting people out of business as a result of his economic policies. And I think folks are smarter and too smart to believe his rhetoric.
Nomi, if Dick Lugar was a 0 on the eve of his presidential bid and Bill Clinton was a 10 in terms of communication and candidate skills, where's Governor Shapiro? Dick Lugar 0, Bill Clinton 10. Where is Governor Shapiro?
In this interview or just in general?
No, in general, as exemplified by that interview.
I think this wasn't one of his strongest interviews, but I'd say he's about, I mean, when he gives a speech, it's great. A little too Obama for me, but I'd say he's like a 6.5.
6.5.
He has some room to grow.
Mark, 6.5.
I'd say like a 9. You can tell this guy is ready to go.
But you think his communication skills is on the border with Bill Clinton in '92?
In terms of
communication on TV, interviews,
skills, but in terms of
no, just presentation. No, presentation skills, ability to go on and drive a message on the economy. Where is he?
Oh, I'd say 7 or 8. He's tight. He's smart.
Wow.
Like in that instance, he's kind of low energy, but
yeah.
he's still he can be pretty straightforward. But also to Nomi's point, like the Obama thing, you could even see it, like the way he kind of speaks with his hands in like little twitchy ways. That was pretty interesting.
All right, Jason, go ahead. Nomi.
Just one thing to add there. He talked about the economy, but he didn't really talk about it. Like that's what I felt the disconnect. You can just rattle off OJ and you talk about how inflation is exactly where it was last year at this time. You talk about 50,000 jobs, manufacturing jobs lost and how that affects Pennsylvanians. Like he's not connecting the dots between the people and the rhetoric, in my opinion.
And I agree. I agree with that. And although I don't read the chat, I glance at it. I agree with Professor Kenny. OJ is no longer with us. Jason, welcome in. Thank you for being part of 2A. Tell folks where you are, what's on your mind for Nomi and for Mark.
From Eugene, Oregon. And what's on my mind is I feel like a lot of the pundits really missed out on what really won Trump the election. Was he not that they loved Trump, but because he just scared people less than the Democrats at that point in time.
You're talking about in 2016 or 24?
24.
Yes, sir. Keep going.
People are like, it's because of his anti-trans ads. Well, it's not because people were against trans. It was because people were against like trans being in women's locker rooms. Common sense, right? And then like the border, they don't hate Hispanics. They just want a secure border, right? And so I feel like the Democrats, if they could get somebody up there that would just be more inspirational and common sense, I think that would be a plus for the Democratic Party or any party really. And the Republicans need to realize that they don't love you. You don't have a mandate. You just scared them less. But now you're starting to scare them more than the Democrats. And that left the Democrats an opening to run a normal, common sense candidate.
Interesting, Jason. Mark and then Nomi. Thoughts on what Jason said?
Yeah, Jason, what if a Democrat said something that you said that you consider is common sense and kind of an aha moment, what would that be to you? What would perk your ears up?
Well, first of all, they need to come in with a sense of, look, we don't want to isolate you from your family just because your family believes differently than you. We want to bring unity. We want you to go speak to three Republicans and figure out where they, and really just promote like a national unity. And I think that's the one things that the Democrats scare people that just scare the hell out of people the most is they're trying to like isolate them and then the radicalization on the left is just it reminds me of like the religious right in the 90s. They're pearl clutchers. It's like, oh, I'm going to cancel this person, like the religious right did with like Ellen DeGeneres and stuff. Well, now if you have a conservative point of view, the pearl clutchers on the left, they come for you.
Know me.
Who of the Democrats and Republicans right now doesn't scare you or doesn't bring out the scare vibes?
Honestly, I do like Rubio, but if Vance could stick to his roots and just stick to his roots, there's a lot of people out there that want somebody that is one of them, basically. And the way the Democrats treated him in the election was like, oh, he went to Yale. Yeah, okay. Well, he made good for himself. What was he supposed to do? Stay in that community and, and fail with that community? No, he pushed himself forward.
Yeah.
And then on the Democrat side, you know, I think he's building up for a run as a Texas governor. And I think that a lot of people are going to laugh, but he's doing all these self-help tours and stuff. But I think watch out for Matthew McConaughey at some point in time.
Oh,
Jason, who do you feel legitimately cares more authentically about working Americans, AOC or Gavin Newsom?
I think AOC, hands down. Now, I disagree with her policy.
Yeah.
I tend to be like a little bit of center right, libertarian leaning. But I don't doubt that she cares. And now I think that she's wrong on a lot of stuff, but I have no doubt. Gavin Newsom is just it almost like I feel like he's trying to sell me a used car that isn't going to work in a week.
Yeah. Jason, super interesting, great perspective. Thank you for being part of Two Way and for getting up early. Grateful to you. Okay, here's Alan. Alan, welcome and tell folks who don't know where you are what's on your mind for Mark and for Nomi.
Hey, how are you guys?
Great, thank
Good
you.
morning.
I'm in Scottsdale, and
I used to live in Scottsdale.
Oh, you did?
Did, yes.
Oh, nice. Well, it's nice. It's probably like 65 degrees right now. So, I have a question about the Instagram. Australia banning Instagram for children, and wanted to talk about that.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have a question and a comment. I was wondering, how is that ban being enforced? Is my question. Does anyone know?
I started reading the article and I didn't get to that part, so I don't know. But I think maybe you have to register. I don't know. We'll find out. It's a good question. Don't know.
Well, I was wondering because I think it's Snapchat, like you're supposed to be 13 to create a Snapchat account, but parents just, the kids just click that, yes, I'm 13, or the parents just verify it for them. So I'm wondering about that piece of it. And then I was wondering, why isn't there a bigger push to teach children the coping skills that are needed for when you see your friends all getting together and you weren't invited, or the bullying starts to happen, or
Ellen, do you think schools should do that or parents should do that?
I think a combination of both. As a parent, I have a 21 and 24-year-old, and they started Instagram in the beginning, and I was a constant mantra of teaching my girls about how to, like, oh, you see your friends are having a sleepover and you weren't invited. Let's work through that. But I think having something within the schools, because not all parents will do that. And then the drama doesn't stop once they turn 18, let's say, and they can get their accounts. They will have to see their friends still doing those things. And then, of course, spilling over into TikTok and understanding the algorithms. So I wonder, is there some way that we can focus on teaching the skills
Yeah.
that they need, because it's not going away.
Yeah, it's a great question, and again, some people think no regulation is needed to do this. I think the platforms are so insidious, that the algorithms are so powerful, the pervasiveness of them, the peer pressure. There has to be some regulation on the platforms, because they'll never do it themselves. Nomi, thoughts on the great framing that Ellen laid out about the challenge?
It's incredibly concerning, and the algorithms definitely push people in directions down rabbit holes. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's very toxic. And then, it creates a group mentality. But also, I'm concerned about AI. I mean, I think that I was just talking to a teacher yesterday who was working with students applying to college, and she said that the essays were all written with AI, and she was deeply concerned that there was an over-reliance. But what does that do to your critical thinking? If you're starting with AI, in fifth grade or whenever, we already have an issue with critical thinking in this country and with the algorithm and being so extremely partisan. But then you add an AI, not being able to write, not being able to do math, not being able to reason. I mean, how easy will it be to use propaganda on this generation when they've grown up in that environment?
Yeah. Mark.
Yeah, I mean, Ellen, it's super interesting. First, my coping mechanism when I'm in Scottsdale is to go to Fox Cigar, which is wonderful. But I think you bring up a really important point. Like, there is a broader national conversation on both sides. Like, we have not, Facebook's now what, like 20 years old? We still haven't come to grips with its impact and its reach, and what it does to young minds. And, forget of course, there's the massive radicalization of politics that, we talk about every day. But what it actually does to kids, like, that is something that, that should be a daily conversation. It is amongst parents, so it should be amongst policymakers too. I totally agree. It's a big concern, and how we grapple with it, that's not going to be solved overnight.
Yeah, and I think it's not only teaching the kids the coping skills, adults need it too. A lot of people struggle with Facebook, adults. And like, one thing I wondered was for the kids or the teenagers, if they had Instagram accounts, I wonder what would happen if they turned off the ability to like and comment.
Yeah.
Like, if that was, at least as a beginning, so you wouldn't see, I only got so many likes.
Yeah, there is a version of Instagram that is for kids, and it's their accommodation. And I think that's one of the features. I might be wrong, but I think that is one of the features. Ellen, I want you to know, in coping in Scottsdale, which do you think opens first this morning in a few hours? Fox Cigar or In-N-Out Burger? Which would you say would open first?
Oh, I'm sure In-N-Out Burger is already open.
No, In-N-Out Burger doesn't open until 10:30 local.
Oh.
But Fox Cigar opens at 10. So
how do you know this?
Yeah, I just looked while we were talking. So you can go buy Fox Cigar, spend 26 minutes perusing the merchandise, and then you got 4 minutes to get to the closest In-N-Out Burger. And if you Google Map it, that's a reasonable, even with the Scottsdale traffic, it's a reasonable morning. Ellen, thank you for joining. Grateful to you.
Thank you.
All right, quick word for one more sponsor, our friends at Chef IQ. If you haven't bought this yet and used it, you're missing out on learning to cook the easy way. It's a digital thermometer. It's wireless. You download the app on your phone, and you don't have to spend the whole day hovering over the stove and the oven trying to figure out when something's going to be ready. Shove it into any piece of protein. Maybe not a piece of sushi, but into a steak or a turkey or chicken or fish. And then you can spend your time sipping cocoa and hanging out with your family or watching football, rather than worrying about when's it going to be ready, when do you turn it, when do you take it out, and how long does it need to sit. Save 30% off Chef IQ's digital thermometer. Right now, go to chefiq.com. The promo code is, sorry, lost my place. I'm going to tell you the promo code in just a second and the extraordinary discount you get. 30% off chefiq.com, promo code 2WMM. Right now, Chef IQ Sense wireless cooking thermometer available to you at the extraordinary discount of 30% off. You can save by going to the website, promo code 2WIMM, chefiq.com. Thank you for your attention to this matter. All right, let's plan out our coverage for tonight, like the morning meeting would do in a network news division. Let's say the president starts at 6:10. My show starts at 6. I'm inclined to do what I call mystery political science theater, where I listen to the president talk, and respectfully, when he's pausing or talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, my guests and I can kind of jump in and annotate what's happening. So that's option one. Option two is just to take it live like we're C-SPAN and just let it play out. And assuming he takes the whole hour, that would be the entire show. But number three would be just not ignore the president and not cover it. Those are our choices. Mark, Nomi, be two-way executives here. Moynihan reports on at 7. He'll probably go into that. And he might not start till 7. But Mark, if he starts during my show, what would you advise I do?
Mystery Science Theater, 3000, 3001.
Mystery Political Science Theater. That's what we call it.
Genius. Yes.
Yeah. So you do that. Okay.
Yep.
No, Nomi, what do you think?
First off, I think you need a show called Mystery Political Science Theater.
Oh, believe me, it's on the development slate. Yeah.
I love it.
We've done it before. We've done some pilots of it. You got to be respectful, right? You don't want to be talking over the president, but we like to say conversations like no other. And if you're watching on C-SPAN or Fox or whoever's taking it live, you're listening to a lot of dead air, a lot of Marjorie Taylor Greene, or some people call her Marjorie Trader Brown. But this gives people kind of a running commentary, and of course, the two-way community in a smackless manner would be commenting in the chat. So you'd have a different experience. And again, we say conversations like no other. Again, Two-Way Tonight is on this evening. Join me at 6 o'clock, regardless of what's up with the president and whether that episode becomes Mystery Political Science Theater. And then at 7 o'clock, Michael Moynihan, the Moynihan Report. So 2 more Two-Ways tonight. And somebody's going to remind me, because I know we've got at least one person booked for Two-Way Tonight. Somebody's going to remind me who that is. It's gone right out.
Is it Matt Whitlock?
It is Matt Whitlock. Thank you, Mark.
All right.
Bednar. Matt Whitlock, former Capitol Hill aide, the man who was present when Orrin Hatch and I did Rock'em Sock'em Robots. We all familiar with that moment in American history. And he's got his own podcast. What's Matt Whitlock's podcast called, Mark? That's the
like
bridge
the 10
too
minute.
far. It's called like the 10 minute something. Yeah. Anyway, Matt Whitlock and someone else, TBD, will join me tonight. Yes, you knocked my block off. Thank you. Anyway, very grateful to all of you for joining, and we're gonna be back tomorrow. Nomi and Mark, I don't believe either of you is with us tomorrow. So grateful to you for joining. Nomi, what advice would you give other people guest hosting the morning meeting? What are some do's and don'ts?
2 cups of coffee at least in the morning before.
Yeah. What else?
I used to host a morning show, and actually 2 morning shows, and it was always get up early, drink your coffee, read as much news as possible, listen to the news, watch the news, and do some jumping jacks.
Oh, good. I did most of that. Mark, what's your advice to your successors coming?
Make sure you have nothing in your teeth.
That's key.
That's
short and sweet.
Later today, Next Up, it'll drop as a podcast and on YouTube. My reported monologue is on the political pieces of the Warner Brothers Discovery takeover battle. It's obviously a huge business story. It's a huge consumer story, a huge entertainment story. But the politics of it's interesting, and I've been talking to smart people in both parties about where they see the politics of this going, what it means in the short term, and the medium, and the long term, because there's a lot going on here on the political front. And then I'll be joined by David Ignatius, legendary Washington Post editor and columnist, and a great reporter about this Ukraine story and what happens, what's happening between the president and Europe, and what happens if the president chooses to walk away because the Ukrainians and the Russians can't make peace. So that drops later today. And then I'll be back tomorrow with 2 great other new guest hosts joining. You'll see who's coming. But we're grateful to you for being here, everybody, and grateful, Mark and Nomi, for joining us for Monday, Tuesday. So thank you both very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you at 6 o'clock, and hopefully the president will start on time, and we'll have some good plan for covering it. Have a great day, everybody.
Sounds great.
Take care.